Hi there, everybody. Welcome to the full moon in Leo video. It's going to be a full wolf moon. So I don't know if any of you relate to the wolf or the lion, but sometimes just the energy of the animal can give you some strength or some guidance. So a wolf moon obviously suggests a lot of things, right? Because the wolf is a pack animal, but we also have the symbology of the lone wolf, right? So wolves, even though they travel in packs, they're very selective who gets to mate, right? The pack will select the alpha female and the alpha male, and they are the ones that mate. It's not like a big free-for-all like other species, and they protect their lineage that way. Obviously, there's the howling at the moon. That's a full moon, and thinking of a wolf howling at the moon is just iconic symbolism right there. But also, you just think of that lone wolf image, like we're all spending a lot of time alone during the quarantines and lockdowns all over the world. And how are you dealing with that? How do you react when you're alone? Some people find strength when they're alone, and some people suffer a lot when they're alone. And so there's a theme there of embracing what it means to be alone and finding a strength in it. Then, of course, we have the moon. The full moon is in Leo, so we have the symbolism of the lion. Again, another pack animal, very alpha. I'm not as sure about the mating rituals, though, as the wolf, whether there's a selection process for the lions. But king of the jungle, right? King of the jungle, fierce, strong, indomitable. You cannot dominate a Leo moon. So again, it sort of suggests, if you combine these two forces together, just at the very outset, before I look at the chart or the cards, you have somebody strong and strong-willed who's going to follow the beat of their own drum or their own heart, regardless of what others say. And they might be part of a pack that fits and comes with you or follows you, or you might need to go off alone to do so. So I wonder if that theme will resonate with anybody. So let's first look at this astrology chart. So as I say each time, the sun and the moon are always opposite during a full moon. And so every month, it shifts what signs are opposing. And over the year, of course, it makes a full circle, and we get this sort of little wake-up call or test or something that fires off in us. And oppositions make things sometimes uncomfortable, but they shine the flashlight on something that might have been otherwise asleep or dormant in us, and that isn't always good either. So if you really want to look at astrology properly, it's good to do your own chart so that you know where in your own chart does the full moon opposition happen. What forces are you evaluating based on where it hits your own chart? And that's really the best way to say, well, what's going to happen to me this full moon? It's very personal to your chart. What I do in these videos is a forecast of the general energy, but it will be applied depending on what part of your chart it hits. So, excuse me. So when I do the chart, I do it for New York City because it's the time zone that I'm in, and it's also a major city. So that means that all of the references to houses that I mention are for the Eastern time zone. If you switch it to Central time or Pacific time, the houses are going to change and the areas of focus will change. So this reading's the most, the most accurate if you're in the Eastern time zone, but it's still energy's energy. So you can apply it, like I said, to your own chart. So this full moon in Leo is at 9 degrees, and it's in the second house, meaning that this full moon is a Cancer rising. It's an Aquarius with a Cancer rising and the moon in Leo. So even that as a personality would be somebody very unconventional, because Aquarius will just go off, you know, it has its own tastes, its own quirks and own kinks, and it will just go off and do what it wants, think how it thinks. And they don't care if they fit into society. In fact, they expect not to. And then you have that moon in Leo, this really strong-willed queen or king as the moon sign. This is a person who deeply knows what it means to have leadership, a feeling of royalty from another life or celebrity. They know that they're strong. They know that they can shine. But it's the moon. It's not the sun. So they don't shine unless the conditions are right. They don't walk around. It's not like sun in Leo, where it's like, here I am, look at me. You know, the moon in Leo will not do that unless it feels it's in the right way or the right conditions. So that's another thing you can ask yourself this full moon is like, where do I feel comfortable to shine? You know, what conditions do I need to feel like I can let out that inner queen or king, that inner celebrity that I have? Where do I let it, you know, is it in small groups? Is it one-on-one? Is it on a stage? Is it at work? Is it in my private life? Is it when I'm, you know, dancing? Is it when I'm outside with animals? Is it, you know, you have to figure out where do I shine and what conditions to help you shine. So Aquarius and Leo were both fixed signs. So when this full moon happens and it's fixed signs, it's even more intense, the opposition of these energies. So Aquarius versus Leo is like, Aquarius is like, I'm blending in with everybody. Don't notice me. I'm in the background. You don't need to see me. Leo is like, did you notice? Here I am. Look at me. So this is one of the very primal things about this full moon with Aquarius Leo, and it happens also again in August when we have the full moon in Aquarius, is you're asking yourself, you know, how much do I like to blend into the crowd? How much attention do I feel comfortable with? Do I need more attention? Do I never get it? You know, or am I not liking the spotlight and I'd rather be even more incognito behind the scenes? And then you add Cancer rising to all of this, and you add somebody whose heart is on their sleeve, who can't hide how they feel. So my friends, this full moon is full of pretty conflictual energies, which doesn't mean it'll be bad, but what it does show me or feel to me is that whatever emotion comes out, whatever's activated, you'll be more emotional about it, and you won't be able to hide it from people. So Cancer rising, you know, you're going to cry at commercials. You're not going to be able to hide on your face how you actually feel. So it's a good idea, whatever comes up inside you, just to talk it through with people that are safe. Because Cancer rising can also be very moody and clingy and very crabby sometimes. So, you know, try to talk about something before you let it swell up and fester in you. Try to talk it through or journal it, or, you know, now we have our phones, we can record it, talk to yourself, but let it out of your system. Because Cancer rising can also be very intimate, very empathic, and so it could be an excellent time to feel closer to people. It all depends on how that quality of emotionalism plays out in the Cancer rising. So it could bring you a lot closer to people if you confide, but if you dump, no, not so much. right? Okay, so let's take a look at that primary first opposition we have. So the moon in Leo is opposite the sun in Aquarius, but it's also opposing Saturn and Jupiter, which are like strengthening the Aquarius right now, big time. So when we see shows of people wanting attention or wanting to stand out in the crowd, or it's me, it's all about me, which can be the shadow of the moon in Leo. There's too many planets in Aquarius and still some lingering around in Capricorn right now. They're just going to find it very distasteful. So, we're already seeing that shift on the political stage with Biden now in the White House, and with the silencing of President Trump, and with people coming out just utterly tired of all of the years of narcissism that we saw. That this is like a shadow moon in Leo type of thing, is narcissism. So right now, Sun, Jupiter, and Saturn in Aquarius is very strongly wanting to stay broad and inclusive and detached, and let's keep on the task. And they don't really want things to get terribly emotional. And we have Pluto in Capricorn, which we are used to now, but we also have Venus joining Pluto. And so this is more like a real desire for self-control, for consolidating whatever structures or power structures that need to be done. And with all of that Aquarian energy, Mercury is also in Aquarius, but it's not squaring, it's a little further out. But there's just this big pull towards, let's just get grounded here. Let's just stay detached. Let's just keep things functioning. Let's not have these big shows of emotion. Let's quash this rebellious energy that we have, Mars, Uranus in Taurus still. Let's just focus on being calm, cool, and collected. Let's just rebuild. That's a strong pull of this full moon. But as I said, that moon in Leo is opposing it, and it's going, yeah, but what about me? Yeah, but so the best way that could play out, if the moon's in Leo with that other influence, is that it brings out the good side of Leo, which is that indomitable lion strength. Brings out the leadership. If you're going to shine or ask for attention, do it in a way that shows guidance or leadership to others, not in a, yeah, but why is nobody calling me? Like a whiny or like self-indulgent or making it all about you kind of way. If you bring out the noble queen or noble king side of Leo and the leadership, then it can work in the best way possible with, okay, I'm calling attention to something in myself, but I'm using it towards the greater good, the collective, Aquarius. Now it's still the moon and Pluto, Venus, Saturn, Sun, and Jupiter are all squaring off with Mars and Uranus. Well, Venus, Pluto, not as much, but there's still it's sort of a nasty square. I've talked a lot about the Mars and Uranus in other videos and stuff. So just to briefly say again, it's the most volatile combination you can get. However, when Mars and Uranus were exact on Inauguration Day, we actually didn't see any outburst or uprising. What we saw was the highest octave of the energy, which was, we saw that Taurus side, that very stabilizing, protective, bear down and be serious kind of side. We saw, the enormous military presence. So we can't say that the Mars energy wasn't there, because it was ready and waiting. But we didn't have to use it. And then with Mars and Uranus, we also, that's totally unconventional in a sign of Taurus, which is normally so traditional. So we saw a very traditional event play out in a very unconventional way with the flags set up to represent people, the lantern ceremony, the the fact that everyone is wearing masks, the fact that there was such heavy military presence. So it does make sense, and it played out, thank goodness, safely for everybody, and it was quite beautiful the way the ceremony took place. I thought it was very well done. So we saw this stabilizing influence of Taurus, but we saw it in a very unconventional way. But we have Mars and Uranus still together here, squaring with Leo and Aquarius. So we have to expect again that there's going to be temper tantrums, conflicts, and uprisings in the air. People are still not, obviously, after years of being built up with all this oppositional energy, people don't just surrender that overnight. All of this pull, like we said, towards the age of air, thinking about society, the greater good. It's not about me, it's about the collective. Biden's already speaking this way. You can't just ask people to detach and be calm, cool, and collected about things after all of what they were built up to do. So this is why with the moon in Leo and with Mars, Uranus, and Taurus, we could still see some outbursts or some erratic behavior, hopefully nothing violent, but it is part of that influence. And when it comes to yourself personally, the full moon is the 28th, so maybe anywhere from the 26th to the 30th. You might just want to watch your tempers. You might just want to think twice before you fire off a comment, because we can all be riled, and that energy is very quick, very sharp, and very powerful if it's activated, if it's angry. So you don't want to say or do anything you're going to regret. However, as I always say, sometimes there is a time and place where that is exactly what's needed to resolve a situation. And if it is, and it's well timed and well said, you might have the force behind you to cut through a whole load of crap too. So we still have Neptune squaring off with these nodes, which I've said, this is a long-term influence of where, these very mutable, changeable signs are opposing each other, but as soon as it opposes, the other one bends, and then it opposes, and then it squirms, and then it. So there's still this feeling in the air, in the background of all of this, that things are quite still uncertain. That everybody is dancing around and not sure where to reposition life. And with a pandemic, of course, it's provoking so many changes on so many levels that, of course, all of us are sort of tiptoeing or living day by day. It's a hard time to make plans for anybody. I think that's good for the chart. Yeah. So just expect that on an interpersonal level, or a way to use this moon for healing, all of these Aquarian planets that we mentioned in Capricorn are in the 8th house if you're in the Eastern time zone. So, the 8th house is all about money again, sex, death, and other people's money. And the full moon is in the 2nd house, which is the money you earn. So Mars, Uranus in Taurus, of all things, which cares greatly about money and security, these are all squaring off. You could see a lot of movement in your life or in the globe around monetary issues. But the 8th house is also where you dig in very deeply to any hidden or taboo or very difficult issues in your life. And there's a cluster of planets there. However, they're in Aquarius, who doesn't tend to like to deal with them. So, you know, the overall feeling I get looking at the chart is that it's I don't think it's going to play out as a violent or too volatile an issue. I feel like a lot of people are going to be triggered though, and from their own personal issues, and that it's just important that you don't hold things inside and that you talk to people. You talk through whatever's going on for you to feel better with somebody that you trust, so that it doesn't come out, um, you know, in the wrong timing or to the wrong people that can't actually support you when it does. All right, so we're going to turn to the cards, and we'll do readings for everybody's sign as well. All right. Got to get my pen ready to write down all these times. All right, so let's go to the cards and see if it brings any other insight for this full moon. Also January 28th. So 1 plus 2 is 3, plus 8 is 11. Plus 2 is 13, 15, 16. Okay. So that's interesting too. The numerology of the full moon day is a 16 /7. 16 is the Tower card, and 7 is the Chariot. So that also does suggest certain things, sort of upheavals or things breaking down in order to get better, to liberate something else. Let's see though. All right. So our first card is the Three of Cups. That's a nice one. So Three of Cups is all about emotions. It's a Cancer card, like we said, Cancer rising on this chart, and this is a Mercury in Cancer. So this is a very healthy, nice flow of emotion. Usually it says abundance. It's usually like feeling celebratory or creative, letting the emotions flow in a healthy way, healthy intimacy, healthy connection and bonding. So that's a nice way to start. Try to focus on that. Our next card is the Nine of Pentacles or Discs. So that's a money card. Venus and Virgo. Get your finances in order. Venus and Virgo is very much like an accountant. Good at budgeting, good at writing things down, keeping track of the bills, doing your taxes, making sure you don't miss anything. But usually this is a card that means there's money coming to you. So it's an increase in your wealth when this card shows up. Our next card is the Seven of Wands. So here is where we see Mars and Leo. And as you can see, the central wand is all bent and crooked. And it looks almost like a person who's bent over, you know, under the weight of all these other wands behind it. That's sort of the friction, or it's almost like one person standing against a group of bullies. So remember, we mentioned the lion and the wolf. So is there anything where you need to take a stand, where you need to take a distance from people, from a group, from something you belong to, from something that you subscribe to or believe, and maybe it's not working for you anymore? You know, is there something, you have to ask yourself, is there something oppressive to your spirit? And Mars and Leo needs to take a stand and stand up for itself, put a boundary, or walk away, or say, that's not what I'm doing or what I think. So again, that feeling of like being in the part of the pack, or going off alone in order to do what you need to do, but you're taking a stand. Eight of Wands. This is usually a traveling card, but right now, obviously, we're not traveling much, and nor should we. So that because we're in a pandemic gives me a whole different feeling. We'll see what cards come next to it, but if anything, this is probably more travel restrictions. But usually this card is like free movement, free speech, just blurting out whatever comes to your mind, jumping on a train or a plane if you're in the mood without too many plans. It's pretty spontaneous. And obviously right now we can't do that. So you might be feeling frustration in movement right now, a lot of us, because of these sacrifices that we're making for the pandemic to slow down or get under control. But hopefully maybe we're going to see more movement. I don't know exactly how to interpret that on a grand scale when it comes to traveling. However, when it comes to your personal life, certainly Mercury in Sagittarius is definitely free and speaks what it wants and says what it thinks, and sometimes says it a bit bluntly. So on the heels of the Seven of Wands, where it's telling you to stand up for yourself, and this could be a very liberating feeling where you join or find voice where you feel much more free to speak amongst others. Or you might just find the courage to not care and just be yourself more. The Queen of Cups is more like a Cancer energy again, or Pisces. Very watery. You can barely see her face behind the waves or the clouds. She's very mystical. She's very much in her head, in her feelings. She's very gentle and nurturing, but she doesn't open up to that many people. So this could be you. This could be someone around you. So we have this funny mix of like gentle, nurturing, confiding, speaking from the heart, going deep into your feelings. And then we have this mix of like boldness at the same time. So it's an interesting opposition, this full moon. Again, though, I feel like there's a lot of, I'm just getting the message like of people realigning their tribes. Oh, look at that. That's nice. King of Cups. So we've got the Queen and the King. This is lovely, actually. It's very reassuring to any of you that are feeling alone or lonely, whether you're single or not. This is a great sign when the King and Queen show up side by side, of finding compatible people, finding whether it's love related, or it's good friendship, or it's getting closer with family, friends, siblings, cousins. There's a intimacy, there's a true compatibility there between the two of you. And because it's the water sign cards, that's nice. It's caring and it's nurturing and it's fostering a beautiful intimacy between the two of you. So so don't hesitate to break away from what doesn't feel right, because you're going to gravitate towards this nurturing quality. Oh, and look, someone else shows up. Huh. Well, King of Discs shows up too. So there's someone else around. Now this is more like the Rock of Gibraltar kind of guy. This is a very businessy guy, very like a provider, somebody that you can really rely on, someone that might, maybe they help you learn certain very concrete skills. Maybe they fix things. Maybe they advise you on what to do. Maybe they help you financially, or they protect you in some way, or they hire you. So this is also really positive to look for people like this. Gravitate towards solid folks right now. Wow, this is nice. Six of Pentacles, success, and also like this healing. I don't know if you can really see the card. In the center, we have a cross, and we have a rose over the cross, which is just a beautiful symbol of healing, right? Like the cross representing, maybe, I'm not sure if it represents St. George, but this particular cross, I'm not an expert in that. But it represents faith, and then the rose is sort of like a purity and a love. We have this ring of light all the way around, and we have the planets that are encircling it, also completely encircled with light around them, and all these concentric circles. Everything is very well ordered and organized, but in a circular fashion, which also shows egalitarianism. There's no one dominant person or dominant leader, right? If this were a meeting or a family group or whatever it is, there's nobody who's boss. People are sitting at the table equally. So I hope that this is sort of a message of something global. I hope that this suggests on this full moon or in and around that there's decisions to come together in a circle and sit and heal something, whether that's health crises, political crises, or whether that's us with our own friends or family or neighbors or any place where things need to be healed and people need to sit around and sit in circle. And it's the moon in Taurus card. So again, thinking of security and loyalty and financial security and stability is a big part of it too. But it means like the success card means that it's there. So we have two really good cards here for financial success. Which I know not everybody listening to this reading, I can't promise, oh, everyone's going to have money. Obviously not. The world doesn't work that way. But the influences are there in a general way that if you make a step, you should be able to find or figure out ways to increase your financial security at this time. And the last card is the Ten of Swords. Huh. So that's sort of funny on the end of everything. Ten of Swords says ruin. Ten of Swords is when your head is just breaking over stuff. You just can't anymore. There's too many opposing ideas and forces, and there's too many people around that something has come to the max and it will fall apart. So we see a lot of things for abundance and being bold and healing in the reading, but we also see that something old, something outdated, something that doesn't work anymore is crumbling. I'm going to pull another card just to qualify this because I don't like leaving readings off on a nasty card. And the last card then would be the Fool, which when you get to the end of your rope and the end of the line with something, and it's got to be dismantled or let go of. It's got to be, let it die, let it go, let it fall apart. Then you go to the Fool, and that is the vision for the future, a new vision for the future. So I know this sounds like very cliche advice, and it sort of is cliche advice. However, it is a truth. It is a law of the universe that things do reach their max. They reach their shelf life. There's nothing you can do to save it or bring it back to what it was. In the end, you must adapt and re-envision the future. And that future isn't, well, I want it to go back to how it was. It has to feel actually new. It has to incorporate something different. It has to open your mind. And that's when the Fool is able to manifest a new life. So right now, it's a time of, whatever really isn't working for you. So if you wake up in the morning and you're like, oh, I can't stand this. I hate that. I don't want to do this. And everything in you is just resisting or dreading something. That's your Ten of Swords moment. You're done. You can't, that's it. It's time to reinvent. Decide, okay, I don't like it. I don't want to do it. I don't want to keep working. Doesn't mean you have to do something you know, go buy a house, move to a different country, quit your job all overnight, but you decide, you accept, that's what I want. This is done. It's time to let this chapter go, and it's time to start focusing on how to get out of it and how to do something else. And then you start the path of the Fool. And at first the Fool card might feel difficult because you just feel like you're walking into the mist. You don't really maybe know what the new thing will look like or what you want. But slowly, as you just affirm your decision to let go of whatever isn't working, you'll start to make smaller decisions of things that you're letting go of a pattern. And bit by bit, it will create room, and you'll suddenly find yourself inspired by something else. And then that becomes the foundation of the vision, and it will expand and it will become exciting at one point. And the more you can really see what you would like, it gets very exciting. And the clearer you get on, I really want this, I really like this, I really want that. Then you start taking smaller actions towards it. And then sometimes coincidence or manifestation, if you want, or it activates something, you're open to it, you spot it, you let it in, things happen to make it happen. You make it happen, and also things happen to help it happen. It's both. This is a really interesting reading. I really get a feeling we've turned a corner into the new year now. I feel like we're in the new year more now than we were in January. So let's pull cards for every sign. And let's define how we define. Let's just do a general of what's 2021 going to be like for each sign, since it feels like a new year. What's your new vision? What's your new year going to be about, 2021, for Aries? All right, I'm going to write down these times again. All right, Aries, what is your 2021 about? Five of Swords. Interesting. Five of Swords says defeat. You have 5 different swords, 5 different hats or ties or crowns or whatever on them. It suggests 5 different people or 5 different types of thinking, different viewpoints. Gives me this feeling that you might still be around or functioning in places or with people that there's just too much friction. There's not quite enough fit of your values or your philosophy, and you might be stressed out about it. So the Five of Swords, if that were my 2021 and I saw Five of Swords as the theme of my year, I would know that it's a year of where there could be a lot of arguments or conflicts, and I have to decide to pick my battles in a year like that. There will be losses of people, but there will be also realigning with people that you feel more suited to. And this also could be a card where people quit their jobs, or they quit, volunteer, whatever organization, whatever you're into, that things have to match your philosophy. You have to find a better fit with other people that truly match your how you think and what kind of world you want to live in. So if things are out of alignment, there'll be friction, and there'll be letting go of what doesn't work this year. But don't dismay. It's not a bad thing. For Aries, you've had Pluto in Capricorn accenting your career house for many, many years now, since 2008. And you've got a few more years to go. So this could be related to jobs and coworkers and where, your work identity, since that's where Pluto has the most transformative and long-term effects in one area of our lives. But yeah, keep working on finding more and more aligned tribes of people, and you'll be a happier camper. All right, Taurus, what's your 2021 about? There's the Tower. I knew we'd pull this at some point. Now, again, don't be worried, but Uranus is in your sign, and I would expect no less. Uranus is the great upheaval in your sign. The Tower is things that are no longer working, and finally the rug gets pulled out if they're really not working. Now, Taurus, if you're really honest with yourself, you know that you sort of suck it up and you cope, or you sort of get comfortable, or you resign yourself to things that you don't always love or don't always think are so great, out of the need for stability, security, predictability, and loyalty. So the Tower this year is going to show you what areas you can no longer do that. So anywhere where you've been overly accommodating things that you don't actually feel good about, there will be some sort of upheaval or removal. However, because you're such a loyal, stable sign, you will regroup and find new jobs or places or people or relationships. You will find you'll find something better, because the Tower, at first it pulls the rug out, but it also then liberates you from something that's been probably more distressing than you realized. And Uranus is going through your sign, depending on what part of the sign you're in. It's still early. It's still around 10 degrees. So we're still talking about people probably born in April, Taurus, maybe just the beginning of May now, 1st of May. It's coming through like a wake up and shake up, like an earthquake through life. And it's there to liberate you from things that no longer serve you. All right. Gemini. 2021 for Geminis. Ah, that's nice. The sun is shining on you, Gemini. Very nice. So this is a year of where you're going to find some relief compared to the last few. I'm not sure why, but that's the vibe I'm getting. Reconnection, better quality and sharing and depth and creative collaboration with friends. It's a card of kids, sometimes of children. This could be that there's improvements with your relationships with your own children, or having more children. It could also just be your inner child, and these two are dancing at the bottom in the sun. So there's something very joyful. And this card, the sun card, doesn't mean it was easy. It means that now it's hard won. You've chosen to be happy. You've chosen to be joyful, and you've chosen to believe or have faith or open your heart again, even though, yes, you've had the other lessons. You've gone through your dark night of the soul, and now you're back to believing in some good. So this is really lovely as a card for your year. Things should be expanding and feeling more hopeful and joyful for you for 2021. All right, Cancer, what is your 2021? And we have the Hanged Man. Well, the Hangman is waiting. Waiting for what? What are you waiting for? Do you need to wait, or are you just waiting? Are you sacrificing yourself? Because the Hangman is a sacrifice. However, the sacrifice has a purpose to it. It's not just being a martyr. The sacrifice, whatever you're waiting for, whatever things are moving slowly, whatever you're denying yourself certain things that you need or want for a greater goal, because you're learning something on a spiritual level. So that would mean to me like it's a year of very slow, steady progress, almost so slow that you won't even see it. But by the time we arrive at next year, you'll be transformed. You'll be a whole new person. It's just that it's going to happen so gradually. You know, it's sort of like a card of like, let's say, like habits. You know, if I add in one habit that's healthy, even though it's a small habit, maybe takes me 30 seconds in the morning, but it's a good habit, well, at some point, I'm not even going to realize I'm doing it. It's just a new habit. But if it's a healthy one, it's going to make a big impact on your body within a year. So that's the kind of card this is. So this can be also, if it comes to, let's say, relationships, maybe you change one small thing in how you relate to people, or your I always use the word boundaries, you know, but that's an empath thing, to always be working on boundaries. But let's say you change one boundary, like, okay, I'm going to make sure that I don't know, let's see, what's a typical Cancer one? Okay, I'm going to make sure that I'm not always that I don't feel like a therapist to people anymore. You know, if I feel like it's crossing the line, and I'm listening as if I'm a therapist to people, whether it's my friends, family. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to pull away or stop the conversation earlier. Just imagine how that one boundary would change your life in a year. You know, it's going to give you so much more energy. It's going to make it very clear who's taking advantage or respects your time. And it's going to bring you closer to the people who do. It's going to leave you more room for other people to walk in your life that are more balanced than that. So this is the kind of year it is. There's some slow, steady progress on habits, boundaries, self-care, but it's going to happen gradually and slowly. Whew. All right, Leos. Princess of Wands. Sorry, it's really dry in here today. I don't know why. Oh, it's really cold here, so I might have the heat higher and it's drier. All right, Princess of Wands. It's a very Leo card. It's a very fiery card. She's flying away, you know, her antlers, if you will, or her horns are just so huge that they're propelling her towards that flame no matter what. So, Leo, your year is all about letting yourself be more free and spontaneous and active. Um, I don't know if you have been feeling that you restrain or silence yourself or suppress your creativity, or you think, oh, I'd really like to dance, and then, no, maybe I won't, or let's run, nah, maybe later. If you're doing anything like that, procrastinating, this is the card that says don't stop. Just try to be more in the moment and more spontaneous about stuff, especially when it comes to physical movement, because like, just look at how she's flying and almost dancing. Her arms are fully spread out. Like, this is like full open body movement, right? This is not holding it in and not expressing it. Obviously, sometimes this can be somebody around you who's like that. So you might be dealing with somebody who's very spontaneous and free. Maybe you need people like that around you right now to help you bring it out in you. But this is a nice message for your year. You know, 2021 is all about letting yourself be free and stopping all that self-doubt or self-sabotage, doing things more spontaneously and with more gusto. That's a nice message. All right, Virgo. All right, Virgo. Not so easy. The Ten of Wands. So the Ten of Wands is about oppression. It's Saturn and Sagittarius. It's the opposite of that Leo card. You'll want to ask yourself during this year, you might be thinking a lot about oppression in general, whether that's, hopefully you're not living it, but if you are in a relationship with anyone who is oppressive to your spirit, If you're doing it to yourself, maybe by being way too hard on yourself, it's a possibility. You have to learn how to be lighter on yourself this year. If you're doing this to others, you have to be careful, you know, and that can be anything from, you know, maybe just you're really anxious about stuff and that brings out more the OCD or controlling side of your personality, and other people feel that they have to be careful or walk on eggshells around you, then you've got to look out for that. Or if it's being judgmental or critical and it's oppressing to others, you have to take a look at that balance. And if somebody's doing it to you, it's time to break free. So the oppression card as 2021 would be definitely that you're breaking free. You're breaking free. So right now, you might find there's a number of things in your life that feel they're stifling your freedom. And some of that might be stuff you don't have control over, like these lockdowns. Um, but ask yourself if there's other things in your life where you're not feeling free. And it's a year where you're going to have to address it, and you're going to have to let yourself out, bust yourself out of that jail, if you will. And that can be a mental prison if you're too hard on yourself, or if your thoughts are always looping, self-sabotaging you. And that can also be sometimes conditions in a difficult family, in a difficult marriage, a difficult workplace. You're not going to be able to keep going as you are if you feel oppressed. It's going to fall apart, and you're going to break yourself free this year. So difficult, yes, but positive, yes, too. All right, let's take a look for Libras. Libra, you have the Chariot. All right, so consolidating opposing forces. How do you get people to work together? How do you get people to be on the same page? Well, Libra, you do a lot of that anyway, right? Trying to mediate, trying to talk to all sides and see how can you bring everybody together. So if this were me and I pulled that as my year for 2021, I would know that it's a year that I'm going to be working hard on things. It's not so much going to come so quick and easy. There's going to be lots of need to talk about things, negotiate things, renegotiate things. There's going to be definitely other people around. You're not alone. So there's a lot of talking and more like, yeah, again, negotiating is the biggest word that comes out of all of this. Compromising, you know, the goal has to be pretty clear. Otherwise, everybody's just sort of defensive and talking in vain. And you have to really hit the mark well with how you speak, because otherwise people just go, oh, yeah. And then inside they're going, that's nice. I'm not going to do that. I'll just smile and nod. So the only way that the Chariot moves forward is if the communication is true. So it's not about the charioteer just coming in and controlling and dominating things. And that might be you, and that might be somebody who does it to you. But the only way that you're going to get whatever it is you're working on in a group, and that can be, again, family, that could be a band, that could be a, a class that you're teaching with the kids. But the only way you're going to get it to roll forward is if you're actually speaking to the heart of everybody, or you're speaking something true, because then they all have to feel like, oh, it's actually open for all of us to participate. Now we will drop our differences or our stubbornness, and we'll turn around and we'll start to walk together, and the chariot will roll and the project will roll. So you have your work cut out for you this year with that one. All right. Scorpio. Scorpio, your 2021 is 8 of Swords. All right, this is a clear message to me that this year you have to get out of your own head. This is overanalyzing. This is, just look at it, it looks bruised. There's too many swords. They all look different. They're all pointing in different directions. The card is Jupiter and Gemini, so you've either added so many people, so many activities, so many demands, so many viewpoints to your life that now you can't think straight if you tried. The card says interference. Now, this could be that you're in a situation where there's a whole bunch of people around you who are very different, who are actually opposing each other. Or this could be within yourself. If it's within yourself, it can be a classic case of analysis paralysis. You know, we've all been there where we're scared to move forward, we're scared to make a decision, or we're scared to let go of something. And so we overanalyze, and what if it's that? But what if this? But maybe, and maybe this, and then you go off and you read one more book, or you learn one more thing that could make sense, or you look at the symbolism, or you do their chart, or then you just, everything is still very stuck and stagnant. It's because you're overthinking, and it's time to decide, and it's time to let go. Jupiter in Gemini is way too busy. There's way too much going on. You'll never get it all done without a staff. So you either, if that's the case, literally, you either hire a staff, hire help, delegate, or you have to drop some things and simplify your life and your schedule and your head. Now, it's interesting. I'm going to make a parallel politically again because Joe Biden is a Scorpio. And look at how he might have to deal with that. Now, in his case, this is probably opposing forces within his party, within global leaders, within, turning around policies that he just reversed, dealing with fallouts, and think of how much he's got on his plate. Jupiter and Gemini, but that's his role, and he has people to help him. But in your case, 2021 is about simplifying, and it's about finally accepting some things and letting them go and moving on, so you stop breaking your head over it. And if it's hard for you to stop breaking your head over something, because sometimes this might be a relationship or an ex, and you just can't stop yourself thinking and thinking and thinking about it and analyzing it. This is also a year of like delegating, asking for help, or getting help to get over or move forward. All right, Sag. So Sag, your card is the Princess of Discs. So that's interesting. This is a young Earth sign, but she's ahead of her time. She's ahead of her years. So she's youthful but wise. So that means she has a lot of strength to just keep on going and going, where a lot of older people might not. Like, think about a kid, maybe a teenager who's way ahead of their time. Their ideas are as evolved as an adult. They don't have maybe the status that the adult does, but they're just as capable if given the chance, and they probably have 10 times more energy. So I don't know whether you feel like that in some way, regardless of your life stage or age. You might feel like you're the young one or the newbie on the block with whatever you want to accomplish. And at the same time, you have more groundedness or energy about it than some of the people who are more experienced or older than you. Now, she also, if you see, she's wearing this sort of fur cloak around her shoulders, but then it drops all the way to the ground and it's covering the ground. And it's illuminated and the wand is pointing downwards. And it looks like she's very actively shining the light on something she wants to uncover. But look, there's so much light there. Like, we definitely feel she's going to succeed. She just sort of has to set something down and pull back the cover, pull back the blanket, and everything is there. And it looks like the light that will be revealed is very intense. It lights up the whole forest behind her already. She also is pregnant in this card, if you can see. So she suggests fertility. Some of you that might play out literally with pregnancy. Others, the fertility message could be something about dealing with fertility issues this year, whether you want to have a baby, whether you're menopausal, or whether there's hormone issues going on with underlying health issues. But it can also be the fertility of, or the birthing of a project or some side of yourself. Again, she just really has to put down that wand and use her hands to pull back that blanket and let that light shine on her and see what she sees. Let the next step of your life be revealed. That's a cool message for the year. Jeez, I like that one. All right, Capricorn. Capricorn. And you get a Capricorn kind of card. Look at that. Well, it's Aries, but it feels both. Okay, the Emperor. Well, this is about, empires and governments and patriarchy and authority and your relationship to it. This could be something going on with your grandfather or father, or if you have a strong partner, husband, brother, somebody around you. It gives me a feeling there could be just things that you need to look at in those relationships, or there might be changes in that person's life this year. Otherwise, it's probably more of a message about you taking your own power and authority more seriously. For women, this is going to be a harder card to step into than for men, because the Emperor is really damn powerful, and it's harder for women to be accepted in that kind of role without them seeming intimidating or threatening. But so be it. If you are the one who is more the Emperor in your in your relationships or your work, then it's about stepping into your power. This is like, he rules the land here. So there's people around to help you. You've got this little lamb at the bottom. You've got these rams standing behind, almost ready to serve. He's holding the ball and scepter, so he has not just the power of the state, but also the authority of God. He's an emperor. So if this is not relatable, that you need to take your power or authority or structure things in your own life and accept that you're the one in charge, then this could, as I said, be bringing it up with someone nearby you, your dad, your grandfather, your boss, your husband, someone who's like this. There needs to be, a healthy, productive, not oppressive version of power and authority. And if it doesn't apply in that way, then you might be thinking an awful lot about, on a corporate or political level, on a broader scale. And again, when it's talking about how's that affect my year, it would be all the myriad of ways that you relate to authority, how you want to participate in it, how you enact it yourself, or what you see going on in the world and what you want to do accordingly. It's a very deep message. It's worth meditating on this one because we all have a relationship to power and authority based on how we grew up, and we all have, some level of strong feelings around it. But those are the issues that I'd see coming up for you this year, especially if you're born towards the end of Capricorn, because Pluto is now at 25 degrees. So we're talking the last 5 degrees of Capricorn, people born, maybe from like the 12th, 13th of January up to the 20th. You might be feeling it the most. All right, Aquarius. What's your year going to be like? Very interesting. Princess of Cups, very opposite to Aquarius. This is that, but you know what? I've known many Aquarians, and they have a tough exterior, but inside they're like this. Inside, they've protected themselves in a sort of younger or inner child kind of state. Their emotional side, because they don't feel comfortable with it or trust people or like to show people, they can stay frozen almost like a teenager emotionally. And so that's why, in many ways, they're very sensitive. But when they get sensitive and prickly, they get angry. Instead of that, like this chick, she'll just watch a girly movie and cry, or she'll write in her journal or talk to her mom. But Aquarius, they'll get very angry, or they'll get very defiant, or they'll go towards their intellect to try to outwit or argue or even talk themselves out of their vulnerable feelings. But this, my dear Aquarian friends, means that you have to get in touch more with your vulnerable side, and you have to start to get more comfortable with it, just between you and you, but also between you and people that you care about, so that you grow closer to the people you care about this year. Because over time, if you suppress your vulnerability and you don't show it with people that you care about, the distance grows, you grow apart, there's a wall, and then you feel lonely or abandoned, and the other person does too. When deep down, that's not how you really feel, is it? So this is a year, you're going to hate me for saying this, but this year you need to connect with your inner vulnerable emotional side, and she or he needs some nurturing and some care. And the more you can be a little more comfortable with that, you're going to be a lot happier and relate to people a lot easier, have more enriching relationships. Oh, I didn't do that on purpose, I swear, but that's quite the message. All right, now Pisces. Pisces, your card for 2021 is the Two of Swords. That's nice. Moon in Libra, peace. Ah, that's a nice message for you, Pisces. What I'm going to say is peace should be your mantra this year. And not peace because you sacrifice. Peace because your goal is that things feel peaceful. If a situation can't be resolved because you got two swords, the two swords can be, negotiating or talking. They can be sitting down at the table. Again, Moon in Libra, wanting to see both sides, wanting to mediate, wanting to see what's fair. But once you've come to the table and you've tried to talk it out, if it's not working after a couple of times, then choose the path of peace and let go or walk away. This is not a card of arguing, and it's not a card of sucking it up and sacrificing and feeling like a martyr to anybody. It's letting things be light, definitely work on communication skills. We all can always work on communication skills, all of us. So make your goal, to get more and more clear and articulate about what you really, really want to say, and say it with peaceful language, and do your best to talk things out with people. And then if it's not working after a couple of times, then again, detach or disengage. Bringing that energy of peace into your life is going to protect you from those situations where you can sometimes sacrifice or martyr yourself. And that's where Pisces gets in the biggest trouble. So it's going to help you, if you focus on this message, to realize what situations are worth it when you give your whole heart and soul to it, and which ones are just zapping you and using you. It's going to be very clear. Because, Pisces desires to give their heart and soul to something and help. It's a good quality, but where it goes wrong is when it chooses lost causes or people that take advantage or abuse that side of you. So it's about your discernment. That's why I say, if you walk into a situation that's difficult and I have spoken in a clear, objective, fair way, and I'm still getting nasty or resistant or argumentative reaction, well, you need to know in your heart of hearts, I did my best. I brought my best. I was healthy in the situation. Therefore, you take away any guilt that it could be you or your fault, and you feel confident saying, no, I was fair, and I was clear, and I was patient, and this is the reaction I'm getting. So now it's okay for me to let go and step away. And that will be a very peaceful way to have your boundaries, so that you can now focus on the fun side of the moon in Libra, which would be your creative side, your artistic side, having marathon conversations with people that are fun, because Libra can be very artistic, the moon in Libra. Moon in Libra can be very romantic too. So it's to stop depleting yourself and let life be peaceful. So you probably don't want to post too much stuff on Facebook. All right. Okay. So that concludes our full moon reading. I want to bring us back to the lion and the wolf. Do you feel comfortable in the pack that you're in, or the pride that you're in? Do you feel like you're in the right group or the right tribe that really truly matches you? If not, are you ready to go off on your own, as the lion would go off and hunt, as the wolf would go off alone, in order to find them? If you need any help or want a personalized reading, please let me know. It's river-rain.com or Catherine Allen, Clairvoyant Medium Catherine Allen on Facebook or Instagram. All right, have a great full moon period, and we'll see you back for the new one.